Hello students, I am Sunil Kumar, PGT Commerce, Kendriya Vidyalaya Secretariat RK-Puram. Let me welcome you to our another episode of Business Studies Class 12. Students, in a previous episode, we have discussed about the planning, the types of plans which are required in each and every business organization. And you must have studied about these types of plans. And since you have understood all the concepts based on planning, certainly you will be able to understand the limitations of planning. First of all, it will be coming to your mind, what is the meaning of limitations? Students, limitations means drawbacks, the demerits which are available in planning. You may be thinking the planning is only for the betterment of the organization, how it can have some limitations. But there are some limitations which planning is having. So let me start it. The very first limitation of planning is planning leads to rigidity. What is the meaning of rigidity? It means static. It is not flexible. At the beginning, when the business organization was started, the planning was carried out. And that time, by looking into the matter, by looking into the future of the organizational management sets the various standards which has to be met in the future. That time only, students, the organization has to decide that after 2 months this problem will be coming, after 3 months this situation will be coming, and the solution to that particular problem is already given by the management at the time of planning. But when the planning was done and now after 3 months the circumstances are completely changed, the solution which seems to be the best at that time, now it may not work. But the old employees are said that they have to implement that solution only. But this solution may not be fruitful for the organization. So here, once the plans are drawn, it's almost impossible. It's very, very difficult rather to make some changes to the plans. So the first demerit of planning is it is rigid. It is fixed. It cannot be changed very, very easily. Now let me come to our second limitations of planning. Planning may not work in dynamic environment. What is dynamic environment? Environment is highly flexible. Environment is comprising various forces which are changing the environment every second, and the management has to take care of that environment and will decide that what type of activities will be performed. So now the management can decide about that, but the management cannot forecast the future to the perfection. Some drawbacks will certainly be there. When after few days or after few months, when actually the problem is coming, it is not working properly. So the plans which are drawn few months earlier are useless in present situations. So there is no way the plan can work for the betterment of the organization. So planning does not work in dynamic environment, and our business environment is absolute dynamic in nature. So the third limitation of planning is costly and time consuming. Students, in order to carry out planning, we need to have intelligent caution. We need to have intelligent thinking. We need to have sound judgment. Maybe sometimes business organization is having its employees within the organization who can carry out this process very easily. But many a times we will find that organization is not having competent persons who can draw up the best planning for the organization. So now the organization has to look for the other persons or the professionals who are available in the market. The organization has to ask these people to work in their organization and will draw the planning function for that organization. The organization has to pay huge amount of money in the form of salaries to these people. So that shows that planning is a costly process. The organization has to spend a lot of money to carry out plans of the business organization. And not only costly, it is time consuming as well. It is time consuming in the sense the people, they will be collecting the data and information of the previous years. They will be analyzing such data, and after analysis of data and information, they will be looking into the future. And for that, they will be scanning the environment, they will be scanning the economic situation, political situation, social situation, legal situation, technological situation prevailing in our country. And only after that, they will be able to give the best plans. And to do all these activities, they need to take time. So this is the third most important limitation of planning, is that it is costly as well as it takes a lot of time to execute and to frame it. Now our next limitation of planning is planning reduces creativity. What is the meaning of creativity, students? It means a person is using his mind. Whenever a problem is coming, with his IQ, he will be giving best solution to that problem. But in planning, it is not made available. The type of situations are created at the time of drafting the planning, that this problem will be coming in the future, then this type of plan, this type of solution will be given to that particular problem. And when actually the problem comes, the plan is outdated. And the person who is working, who is facing that situation, who is facing that problem, is not allowed to use his mind and give the best possible solution which is available in the current scenario. But he is forced to use the same solution which was drafted earlier and which is now outdated. But in organization, we have to implement the same plan which was formulated earlier, and now they are not asked to use their mind. So in this way, planning reduces the creativity of the people who are working in our business organization. Our next limitation of planning is it doesn't guarantee success. As I mentioned earlier, students, once you are making planning, you should not be just taking the things for granted that now the planning is done, so whatever objectives or goals we would like to get, easily we can get. You have to execute each and every plan to the perfection. And once in an organization, one plan was very successful in the last year, it's not necessary that in this year the plan will be successful. Because by the time there will be a lot of changes in the environment, and the plan which was best in the last year is worse in this particular year. So the management has to think about all these things, and they have to ensure that whatever changes are taking place, such changes are properly incorporated in the previous year plan. Whatever solution was given in the last year, these changes are incorporated and the new plan will be drawn. The new solution will be given to the problem, and only then the business will be able to meet that challenge, meet that problem very, very easily, and will be helpful in getting the goals and ultimately objectives of the organization. But it is not happening. Now our next limitation of planning is human element. Who will carry out the planning function? The answer is very simple: the human beings. But human beings, there is a restriction on each and every person as far as creativity is concerned. A person may be thinking about himself, may be thinking about the organization. What does it mean? When a person is given the responsibility of drafting planning for the organization, he may give preference to his individual objective first, and he may avoid the objectives of the organization. So when the plans are made, we have to ensure the plans are made only for the success of the organization and not for the success of a particular person who is given the responsibility to draft the planning for the business organization. So here, another restriction, another limitation of the planning is the human element. The person given the responsibility has to carry out his work honestly, has to carry out his work sincerely, and only then it can help the organization in the achievement of objectives. Now students, we have come to an end of the limitations of planning, and in this chapter we have studied about the meaning of planning, definition of planning, features of planning, importance of planning, process of planning, types of plans, and now the limitations of planning. So now we have come to an end of our chapter planning, in which we have discussed above mentioned topics. Thank you.